Imagine living in a country once admired for its stability, prosperity, and opportunity, only to see it crumble under the weight of debt, political unrest, and economic stagnation. What happens when nations, considered pillars of success, start to falter? From staggering demographic shifts to environmental crises, some of the world's most iconic countries are grappling with challenges that could redefine their futures. In this video, we'll explore 10 countries at risk of collapse in 2025, their struggles, the warning signs, and why these nations might not be the same in the near future. Stay with us till the end, as the last country on this list will leave you questioning what it truly means for a nation to thrive. Before we dive in, if you're fascinated by global trends and want more content like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us bring you unique insights every week. Country number 10. Russia. Russia, the largest country on Earth and a geopolitical powerhouse, faces mounting challenges that threaten to overshadow its global influence. Historically, Russia has been known for its military strength, rich culture, and vast natural resources. However, the country struggles with political isolation, economic sanctions, and demographic decline are raising serious questions about its long-term stability. The economic repercussions of its actions in recent years, especially the conflict in Ukraine, have left Russia under severe international sanctions. These measures have restricted its access to global markets, technology, and financial systems. Although the government claims resilience, many citizens face rising inflation, unemployment, and a shrinking economy. Moreover, Russia's overdependence on energy exports, such as oil and natural gas, makes it highly vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices. Demographically, Russia is witnessing a sharp population decline. The country's low birth rates, coupled with a high mortality rate, exacerbated by public health issues and the COVID-19 pandemic, have resulted in a shrinking workforce. This demographic crisis poses a severe threat to economic productivity and social stability. Adding to this are issues like political suppression, media censorship, and lack of freedoms, which have sparked growing discontent among the younger population. Despite its challenges, Russia remains a global player. Its vast resources, strategic alliances, and historical significance give it leverage, but its ability to navigate its internal struggles will determine its future trajectory. Country number 9. South Africa. South Africa, the jewel of the African continent, is facing a series of compounding crises. The once thriving economy, buoyed by mining and tourism, has hit a roadblock. Persistent issues like high unemployment hovering above 32% in 2024 and rolling blackouts due to the failing power utility, Eskom, are crippling everyday life and business operations. Corruption has further eroded confidence in public institutions. Scandals involving billions in mismanaged funds have sparked outrage among citizens, leading to protests demanding accountability. The government's inability to address these issues has resulted in an increasing brain drain, with skilled professionals leaving the country for better opportunities abroad. Socially, the divide between rich and poor continues to grow. Inequality remains one of the highest in the world, with sprawling informal settlements starkly juxtaposed against wealthy urban centers. If South Africa fails to reform its energy sector, tackle corruption, and address inequality, its future stability is at serious risk. Country number 8. Italy. Italy, known for its history, culture, and iconic cities, Italy is now grappling with problems that threaten its economic and social fabric. One of the most pressing concerns is its aging population. By 2025, it is estimated that over 23% of Italians will be 65 or older, placing immense strain on pensions and healthcare systems. Economically, Italy's high public debt at 145% of GDP in 2024 remains a critical challenge. The government has struggled to stimulate growth in the south, where unemployment among youth has reached alarming levels. Add to this the impact of climate change, with rising temperatures and droughts threatening Italy's agricultural heartlands, and the picture becomes even grimmer. Politically, the nation is no stranger to instability. Frequent changes in leadership and fragmented coalitions have hindered long-term planning. If Italy cannot address these systemic issues, its status as one of Europe's cultural and economic powerhouses could be in jeopardy. Country number 7. Pakistan. Pakistan, a country with immense potential, finds itself on precarious footing. Economic instability, driven by ballooning foreign debt and dwindling foreign reserves, has left the country struggling to meet its financial obligations. In 2024, inflation hit 38%, making everyday goods unaffordable for the average citizen. Political turmoil adds to the crisis. Frequent clashes between the judiciary, military, and civilian leadership have created a climate of uncertainty, discouraging foreign investment and fueling public discontent. The country has also faced increased terror threats, straining its already overburdened security forces. Environmentally, Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable nations to climate change. The devastating floods of 2022 were a stark reminder of how fragile its infrastructure is. Without significant reforms and international support, Pakistan's future looks increasingly unstable. Country number 6. Venezuela. Venezuela, once a prosperous nation celebrated for its vast oil reserves, has been grappling with an extraordinary decline over the last decade. Known for its vibrant culture, breathtaking landscapes, and warm hospitality, this South American country has sadly become a cautionary tale of economic mismanagement and political instability. The roots of Venezuela's turmoil lie in its overdependence on oil exports, which accounted for more than 95% of its export revenue. The crash in global oil prices in 2014 triggered an economic collapse, leaving the nation unable to sustain its social programs or stabilize its currency. The economic crisis has had severe repercussions for ordinary citizens. Hyperinflation reached unprecedented levels, rendering the local currency, the bolívar, virtually worthless. Basic necessities like food, medicine, and utilities have become scarce, pushing millions of Venezuelans into extreme poverty. The lack of access to essential services has caused an exodus, with over 7 million citizens fleeing to neighboring countries in search of better opportunities. Despite its oil wealth, Venezuela now struggles to provide even the most basic public services, such as clean water and electricity, to its remaining population. The political situation only adds to the chaos. The rivalry between Nicolás Maduro's government and the opposition, led by figures like Juan Guaidó, has paralyzed the nation. International sanctions and corruption within the government have exacerbated the crisis, making recovery seem like a distant dream. Yet, amidst this turmoil, Venezuela's resilient people continue to hope for a brighter future. Its stunning natural beauty, featuring the world-famous Angel Falls and lush Amazonian rainforests, remains a testament to the country's potential if stability can be restored. Country number 5. Argentina. Argentina, once known as the breadbasket of the world, is no stranger to economic turbulence. However, the current state of affairs has pushed this vibrant nation to the brink. The country's inflation rate, which soared to over 120% in 2024, has left citizens grappling with skyrocketing food and housing costs. This rampant inflation has devalued the Argentine peso, eroding purchasing power and pushing nearly 40% of the population below the poverty line. Adding to the economic woes is a deeply divided political landscape. Recent elections have brought about populist rhetoric, but little concrete action to address systemic issues. Public trust in the government has plummeted, with protests and strikes becoming a common sight in Buenos Aires and Bogotá. The fragile democracy is teetering as citizens demand reforms and transparency. Natural disasters exacerbate the crisis, from extreme droughts in the Pampas region, threatening agriculture, to floods along the Paraná River. Argentina's environmental challenges are a ticking time bomb for its economy and people. If these issues persist, the risk of a complete economic collapse looms large. Country number 4. North Korea. North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is often regarded as one of the most secretive and isolated countries in the world. Ruled with an iron fist by the Kim dynasty, this nation's history is defined by its pursuit of nuclear weapons and its strained relationship with much of the international community. While it projects strength and resilience through its tightly controlled media, the reality for its citizens paints a vastly different picture. Economically, North Korea is deeply impoverished. with sanctions and self-imposed isolation severely limiting its growth. The country's reliance on military spending and nuclear ambitions has diverted resources away from critical areas like healthcare, infrastructure, and food security. The regime's Juche ideology, which emphasizes self-reliance, has further isolated North Korea from global trade and technology. Reports of food shortages and famine remain common, with ordinary citizens struggling to secure basic necessities while the elite live in relative luxury. The regime's oppressive control over its population is equally alarming. Any dissent is met with harsh punishment, and information is tightly controlled, leaving citizens with little knowledge of the outside world. Despite these challenges, the government continues to prioritize military development, including nuclear weapons, which serve as both a bargaining chip and a shield against perceived threats. However, North Korea's long-term stability remains uncertain, as its isolationist policies and resource mismanagement push it further into economic and social decline. Country number 3. Yemen. Yemen, a nation steeped in history and culture, has become synonymous with humanitarian crises in recent years. Located at the crossroads of the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa, Yemen was once a hub for trade and ancient civilizations. However, ongoing civil war, famine, and external interference have left the country in a dire state, with no clear path to recovery. The conflict, which began in 2014, has pitted the Houthi rebels against the internationally recognized government, with Saudi Arabia and Iran supporting opposing sides. The war has devastated Yemen's infrastructure, leaving schools, hospitals, and homes in ruins. Millions of Yemenis are now displaced, living in refugee camps under unspeakable conditions. The United Nations describes Yemen as the world's worst humanitarian crisis, with over 70% of the population needing some form of assistance. The famine gripping Yemen is another devastating consequence of the conflict. A blockade on food and medical supplies has pushed millions to the brink of starvation. Children are the most affected, with malnutrition rates skyrocketing. Despite efforts by international organizations to provide aid, the ongoing fighting makes access to vulnerable populations nearly impossible. Yemen's rich history and resilient people deserve a better future, but achieving peace remains an elusive dream amidst the chaos of war and political turmoil. Country number 2. Syria. Syria, once celebrated for its ancient history and cultural heritage, is now a symbol of destruction and displacement. The civil war that erupted in 2011 has ravaged the nation, leaving millions dead or displaced. Syria's rich history, featuring iconic sites like Palmyra and the ancient city of Damascus, now lies in ruins due to relentless bombings and conflict. The war has devastated Syria's economy, reducing it to a fraction of its former strength. Infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, and businesses, has been destroyed, leaving the population with few resources. Inflation has rendered the Syrian pound nearly worthless, making it difficult for citizens to afford even basic necessities like food and medicine. International sanctions and the loss of skilled labor have further crippled economic recovery efforts. The human cost of the conflict is staggering. Over half of Syria's pre-war population has been displaced, with many seeking refuge in neighboring countries or enduring life in overcrowded camps. Meanwhile, political efforts to stabilize the nation have faltered, as regional and international powers pursue conflicting interests. While some areas have seen a return to relative calm, rebuilding Syria will require decades of effort and global cooperation. Country number 1. Afghanistan. Afghanistan, a nation often described as the graveyard of empires, has faced perpetual turmoil for decades. The withdrawal of U.S. troops in 2021 and the subsequent Taliban takeover marked a significant turning point in the country's history. However, instead of ushering instability, Afghanistan has plunged deeper into chaos, with its citizens bearing the brunt of the hardships. The economy, already fragile from years of war, has deteriorated further under the Taliban regime. International sanctions and the freezing of Afghan assets have left the country with little financial support. Basic services like healthcare and education are in shambles, with many institutions unable to operate due to a lack of funding and qualified personnel. The humanitarian crisis is severe, with millions facing food insecurity and malnutrition. Socially, the situation is dire, women's rights have been significantly rolled back under the Taliban's strict interpretation of Islamic law, barring them from education and many forms of employment. Fear and repression dominate daily life. With little hope for political reform, Afghanistan's natural beauty and rich cultural heritage remain overshadowed by decades of conflict, corruption, and instability. For many, the dream of peace and prosperity in Afghanistan feels as distant as ever. As we've explored these countries, it becomes clear that behind every geopolitical boundary lies a story of struggles, resilience, and the undeniable human spirit. While these nations face incredible challenges, they also hold lessons and realities we can't ignore. Understanding these places helps us gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of our world. If this video intrigued you, make sure to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Discovering the Earth for more eye-opening explorations like this. Your support fuels our journey to uncover the wonders and challenges of our planet. The world is a mosaic of beauty, adversity, and growth, and each of these countries reminds us of how fragile yet interconnected we are. While they may struggle today, history has shown us that no nation is beyond redemption or renewal. Perhaps in the future, they will rise stronger and redefine their place on the global stage. Until then, let's continue to discover, learn, and grow together. Thank you for joining this journey with Discovering the Earth. See you in the next adventure.